January 16, 2021. On the frozen slopes of K2, Sergi Mingote, a record-breaking Spanish climber fueled by purpose and years of survival at Earth's extremes, is heading down toward safety. He's experienced, careful, just hours away from resting at base camp. But somewhere below his boots, frost-glazed ice hides a fatal trap. What Sergi doesn't know is that he's already crossed the line. As the mountain's greatest triumph unfolds above, Mingote's fate is sealed below, forcing us to ask, how can hope, strategy, and skill all fail in a single, silent moment on the savage mountain? Sergi Mingote was never content with an ordinary life. Born in Catalonia, he found his calling early, climbing the rugged slopes of the Pyrenees as a teenager. The mountains became his classroom, teaching him discipline, patience, and the value of pushing limits. By his late 40s, Sergi had become one of Spain's most respected alpinists, a man whose reputation was built not on ego, but on endurance and principle. He was 49 years old when he returned to K2 in the winter of 2021, but his path to that mountain was anything but typical. For 7 years, Sergi served as mayor of Parets del Vallès, a town near Barcelona. His leadership wasn't just about politics. It was rooted in community, inclusion, and the belief that everyone deserved a chance to reach their own summit. He championed accessibility, youth programs, and public spaces, always tying his work to the same values that guided him in the mountains: solidarity, perseverance, and humility. But the pull of high places never faded. Sergi became known for his refusal to take shortcuts. He set records on the world's most dangerous peaks: Everest, Manaslu, Lhotse, Broad Peak, and K2 itself, always without bottled oxygen. His motto was simple: no oxygen, no excuses. Each climb was a test of pure human ability, a statement that the summit should be earned on one's own terms. In 2018, he stunned the climbing world by ascending K2 and Broad Peak without oxygen in just 7 days, a feat few thought possible. Yet Sergi's ambitions reached beyond personal glory. After leaving office in 2018, he launched the 14 by 1000 Catalonia project, vowing to climb all 14 8,000-meter giants in under 1,000 days, again, without supplemental oxygen. But this was no private quest. Each expedition raised awareness and funds for children with disabilities back home, channeling sponsorships and public events into real support for those who faced their own daily mountains. For Sergi, the summit was never just a place on a map. It was a platform to lift others up. Friends and fellow climbers described him as the soul of any expedition, always smiling, always encouraging, always the first to check on those behind him. He brought the same energy to every rope team, whether leading a charity hike in Catalonia or navigating the death zone above 8,000 meters. His optimism was infectious, his humility legendary. In every sense, Sergi Mingote climbed for meaning, not for headlines. That's what made him different. That's what made him the kind of man who would risk everything for a cause, even on the world's most unforgiving mountain. K2 rises 8,611 meters above sea level, a pyramid of ice and rock that towers over the Karakoram. Climbers call it the Savage Mountain for a reason. Its slopes are steeper than Everest, its storms more violent, and its margin for error almost non-existent. For decades, winter had been K2's final line in the sand. No one had stood on its summit in the coldest months. Every previous attempt ended in retreat or tragedy. In December 2020, more than 60 climbers from across the world gathered at base camp, drawn by the mountain's reputation and the chance to make history. The air was thin and sharp, the sun weak, the wind relentless. Temperatures plunged below -40 degrees Celsius. Tents snapped in the gusts. Frostbite was a constant threat. Even inside the mess tents, water bottles froze solid overnight. At this altitude, every breath is a struggle, every movement a calculation. The scale of the operation was unlike anything seen before on K2 in winter. 7 Summit Treks, a commercial guiding company based in Nepal, fielded the largest team on the mountain. Their roster included elite Sherpas, international clients, and experienced independents, each with their own ambitions, but all forced to cooperate in the face of the mountain's hostility. Sergi Mingote chose to join this mega-team, trading the solitude of smaller expeditions for the resources and support that might tip the odds, if only slightly, in his favor. But with so many climbers on the same route, new dangers emerged. Fixed ropes crisscrossed the ice, and traffic jams formed on narrow ledges. The pressure to move fast and stake a claim to the summit was everywhere. Some saw opportunity in the numbers, a better chance to share the work, to break trail, to survive. Others worried that crowding would breed mistakes, or that the mountain would not forgive even a moment's lapse in judgment. For Sergi, the choice was calculated. He understood that on K2, especially in winter, the real enemy was not the competition, but the mountain itself. Every step above base camp meant entering a world where the environment wanted you gone. The cold seeped into your bones, the wind threatened to tear you from the ridge, and the snow hid traps that could swallow you whole. On January 16, 2021, Sergi Mingote started his descent from Camp 1 toward Advanced Base Camp, moving through a section that, on paper, shouldn't have been the most dangerous part of the mountain. But winter on K2 rewrites every rule. The slope here was coated with verglas, a thin, nearly invisible glaze of ice that turns crampons into skates and robs climbers of any margin for error. Hidden crevasse bridges, fragile under the weight of a tired mountaineer, waited beneath a dusting of wind-blown snow. Even the fixed ropes, anchored with stakes and ice screws, offered no guarantee. In winter, anchors can loosen overnight, and a single misstep can turn routine descent into disaster. Sergi was strong that morning, by all accounts moving well, his experience showing in every step. Juan Pablo Moore, his Chilean partner, was just ahead, checking the route. Then, in an instant, everything changed. There was no warning, no shout. Sergi lost his footing, whether on slick ice, a weak snow bridge, or while transferring between ropes, no one can say for sure. What is certain is the scale of the fall. He plummeted between 600 and 800 meters, tumbling down the hard-packed slope toward the crevasse fields above Advanced Base Camp. The GPS tracker he carried sent a burst of erratic movement, alerting climbers below that something had gone terribly wrong. Moore and a team of Sherpas rushed to the scene, scrambling down the dangerous slope as fast as the conditions allowed. By the time they reached Sergi, the outcome was clear. There were no signs of life. The rescue became a recovery, and the grim work of carrying his body down the mountain began. The team moved him to Skardu, the gateway town in northern Pakistan, before arranging for his final journey home to Spain. In the cold silence of K2's lower slopes, compassion and duty replaced the adrenaline of the climb. For those who responded, the mountain's verdict was absolute and heartbreakingly final. At 1645 local time, 10 Nepali climbers, led by Nirmal Nims Purja, stood together on the summit of K2. Their voices crackled over the radios, carrying news of a feat thought impossible: the first winter ascent of the savage mountain. Below, flags were unfurled, anthems sung, and the world's climbing community erupted in celebration. For a moment, it felt as if human endurance had finally conquered the unconquerable. But the same airwaves that carried triumph also delivered heartbreak. As the Nepali team sent word of their success, other radios brought a different message. Sergi Mingote was gone. The news traveled down the mountain and across continents, colliding with headlines of victory and shattering the joy at base camp. While the world cheered the summit, those who knew Sergi faced a void that no achievement could fill. In Spain, the reaction was immediate. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez called him a great sportsman and a better person. His partner, Ana, later shared that Sergi's last message to her was filled with peace and gratitude. He felt lucky to be living his passion, even in the shadow of risk. The unfinished dream of the 14 by 1000 Catalonia project now lingered as a question mark, a reminder that some goals are bigger than one lifetime. On January 16, 2021, as the first successful winter summit of K2 was achieved at 16:45 local time, Sergi Mingote's life ended on the same mountain, just hours and hundreds of meters below. He had summited 10 of the world's 14 highest peaks without supplemental oxygen and was serving as co-leader of the 7 Summit Treks team. His fatal fall, estimated at 600 to 800 meters, occurred while descending from Camp 1 to Advanced Base Camp, on a section known for hidden ice and crevasse hazards. Immediate rescue efforts could not alter the outcome. The precise sequence of the accident remains unclear, with no complete primary source record available. Today, his unfinished quest for all 14 8,000ers without oxygen stands as a testament to his purpose. Sergi's death, coinciding with a historic triumph, highlights K2's enduring dangers.